car 22 yesterday, their teammates. Friendly fire turned into a bomb. You'll see Mr. Boyd jumping into the car, and Paul di Resta is coming out of the car after a great stint. At the same time, you will be able to look on the... You will have out the back, you have the pit wall of the team operating with the engineers and of course the strategists sitting on the pit wall. The fuel is going into the car. Air jacks coming on. 4 new, fresh Goodyear Eagle tires. They have only 2 wheel guns here at Le Mans. So the pit stops are a little bit slower. They're racing for Netherlands. Jumbo just got out in front. So we have a good chance. Good executed pit stop, but they just got beaten by the Netherlands on that one. We will look for Jody and maybe have a little talk about what the focus has been about a race weekend. We have the team manager over here, Trevor Foster, overlooking it. If you have the elder gentleman there, one of the most experienced guys in the paddock, having a look and overlooking. And then I try to look for Jody, the crew chief. It's very difficult to recognize everyone with their helmets on. But at the same time, we can go and look in the back room to see if they are happy in the control room about their execution. Well done, Paul. As you see here, it's not only the information. Motorsport is full of data, and you have a lot of great brains sitting in here and having a watch on how the racers perform on their cars. And also strategically, they're looking for the weather, they're looking for tire pressures, which we will have a look at later. Yeah, thank you, gentlemen. Richard Dean, the co-owner, was sitting watching it all carefully down there. You will have the PR ladies here making sure the tires are going back out, being checked for tire pressures, their wear, seeing if there's anything to optimize. You have the back room here. It's quiet now. The mechanics are normally resting a little bit in here. You will see a lot of spare parts, which are completely fitted and ready to go on in case you need it. There's too many secret things. We might go out again. Thank you. Looks sharp as always. And please join me to the back room. I'll just have a look at Jody, where he is. I'm looking for Jody, but please come to the back room. And now we're sort of coming out of the garage. You'll see spare parts fitted here at a front and a rear end in case of any contact. It's all been tested and fitted individually of each car. You have the body workshop here. As a good people, you'll see they're normally working at the splitters, especially the outside of the splitters. And we have the best man in the business. It's Indy, and Indy demands always music on to make sure that everything is performed well. One of the best men in the business for that. And they are putting a little bit of glue, trying to get the aluminium to stick on the carbon, and that's a gurney. Let's say it's a wing, top wing, where you would normally also mount a gurney flap. Very important to fine-tune their dynamics here at Le Mans as they're running ultra low downforce to make sure they are fast on the stride. Is that right? It
is absolutely correct, as always.
You look good as always, Indy. I look forward to see you later. Then we will have the mechanics are resting here while they're watching the TV. And I'm sure we can all have a good smile from the most important people in the business, watching the tires are going on and watching the screens with them. And a little bit further in the background here, we have the tents where they keep the tires heated. So you can also use another way of having the tires optimized. You have David here. Dave, what's the tire temperature? What's the temperature on the ground right now?
It's around 20 degrees at the moment, so it's quite cold, and about 18 air and 20 ground temperature. So it will warm up with the sun coming out now. Yeah. That'll affect the pressure of the tires and what we do to the tires.
And these tires are up to a certain degree, and they have individually tire pressures on them. As then when they are then after a few laps, they'll come on and have the perfect tire pressures for the drivers. And normally you boost them a little bit at night. Is probably one of your secrets, correct?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we adjust the pressures quite often. So Gary, the engineer, will tell me what he thinks the pressure should be, and then we are, depending on the weather conditions, we'll either boost it or bleed some pressure from the tyre.
Thank you, David. Let's walk through and just see the part of it. You have a little rest here as you have the backup. You'll see that's really the boys' room, and that's where they live from. If you see, they have a little rest here in the back. Thank you very much, United Autosport. It has been awesome. They are preparing the tires here, what we saw getting warmer. And in here, they are preparing the real rims of the tires, which are going back. And you'll see also the wet tires, which certainly was used over here on the left, which certainly was used at the start of the race. So that was a small episode at one of the teams which certainly has won the 24 Hours of Le Mans in 2020, but having a very hard race this year due to some very unfortunate incidents. Thank you very much, United Autosport. Back to you.
And thank you, Tom Christensen. Always a fascinating insight into the behind the scenes of what goes on in these fabulous teams.
It is a big operation, isn't it? It really is. And they've got cars in GT3 as well.
Yes, that's a very good point.
It's in the Road to Le Mans race, which was yesterday morning. Gosh, it seems like 2 weeks ago.
A lifetime ago, absolutely. And United Autosports essentially, of course, is the baby McLaren team to a certain extent, because Zach Brown is the man in charge with Richard Dean.
Yep.
David Brabham, has it changed much since the last time you were racing back there? Have there been many major innovations to how the operations work down there?
Well, in terms of what happens in the pit lane?
Yeah, absolutely.
In the garages? I think, no, not necessarily. It's just obviously probably procedures have improved every year, you know, with all the teams, with the knowledge that they gain. But ultimately, it's all about, being prepared for anything that actually happens on track that you need to fix the car. You see a lot of those spare parts have all been pre-fitted. They're all ready to bolt on. If you don't do the pre-fitting beforehand and you try and do it in the race, you'll probably find that something doesn't line up, and you could waste a couple of minutes just trying to sort that out. So it's all about the preparation.
The closest battle in this race now is for the victory in GTE AM. Francois Perrodo in the AF Corse Ferrari has just done a 3:56.8. Ben Keating in the TF Sport Aston Martin has just done a 3:54.1. That is nearly 3 seconds a lap faster. This is going to get interesting.
Yes. And Callum Elliott in the other Ferrari has done a 3:52.8. So
that's quicker than both of them.
Yes. But he's a lap down, so there is. He's probably not going to get there. But Ben Keating's got every chance of taking Perrodo, unless there's a drive. Well, there probably will be a driver change.
Well, this is a very good showing, of course, for Callum Ilott, who is the Ferrari official test driver this year for the Grand Prix team.
Yep.
So, again, this is yet another driver making his Le Mans debut who's in the shop window for when Ferrari go hypercar.
Yeah, I was just about to say, hello, it's me.
I'm your test driver.
Yeah.
Look at me. Look, I'm in third place in class.
What lap time I just did.
Yeah, look at this time. I was 2 seconds quicker than the guy who's catching the leader.
Yeah.
No, I don't think they've forgotten about him. They're very, very dependable. They're very loyal at Ferrari. They look after their own, and they've always been very much about the family at Ferrari. When you drive for Ferrari, you're a Ferrari driver for life, pretty much. I mean, Alesi and Berger went on to other things, but they've always been invited back again.
Yes. Well, the next couple of years will tell.
Absolutely. Nicky Katzberg is trying to do a similar job to what we're seeing from Ben Keating in the GTE AM category. Katzberg in the Corvette is keeping all of the American viewers watching out in North America, in the United States and in Canada, keeping them very motivated in the closing stages. Less than 4 hours to go, and that gap is down to 41 seconds. Katzberg is getting faster and faster. Personal best, Sector 2. And he's taken half a second out of the advantage of the Ferrari in the last lap. It's nowhere near as intense a gap decrease as we are seeing in the GTE AM, but it's keeping the pressure on Ferrari. If anyone's going to crack, it's going to cost them the Le Mans 24 Hours. Well, we've obviously been keeping an eye on things all the way through the race, and for the Porsche team, they are there in 3rd and 4th position. Kevin Estre, the 92, managed to get his move on Fred Makowiecki a little earlier on today. Now it is Jimmy Bruni, the ex-Formula 1 driver for Minardi, and long-time Porsche driver, formerly at Ferrari, then made the switch to Porsche a few seasons ago. He is now in the number 91 Porsche, but Fred Makowiecki has had a very intense and exciting time, and he's down there in pit road. I think we're going to be hearing from him very soon indeed. The Porsche comeback has been pretty exceptional, actually, Chris. Yes,
they've plugged away at it. The beginning they looked really out of sorts, but they've plugged away, and sure enough, there they are. Typical Porsche fashion.
So this is a scheduled pit stop for the 8 Toyota, and I think that is going to be Kobayashi, I think, going into the car, is it? Oh, that's Brendan Hartley, my apologies. So Brendan Hartley is staying in. Is that a 3rd stint for Brendan Hartley? I think it might be.
Yeah. Doing a triple.
Nothing wrong with that. We're kind of expecting that from the drivers at the moment. Once they get comfortable in the car. I suppose the attitude there at Toyota at the moment is, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah. When we heard that radio message much earlier, they didn't sound too panicked, did they?
No, they didn't. It's a very good point.
Yeah, they said, there is a problem, but we're trying to solve it.
So let's head down to the pit lane when we'll hear from Fred Makowiecki, who can give us some insight into that Porsche fight for the podium.
Frederic Makowiecki, there's a tough fight going on between both Porsches for the podium in the GT Pro class. What is it like to be fighting with the sister car for such a position?
It's always cool, a little bit frustrating because at that moment we can fight for nothing else, because definitely the Corvette and the Ferrari had too much high speed, top speed. It's like that, now the goal is also the championship, to score a lot of points. Both cars are placed well for the manufacturer. Now we'll try to get the 3rd place, would be nice.
When we see sister cars fighting, for sure there's a question that comes to our head is, are there team orders or absolutely not? I mean, Porsche used to have team orders in the past, Corvette not, for sure. We've seen that in the past. What's the situation now?
I mean, there is no real team order at that moment. The main thing is I was with Yost Tire and Kevin with News. That's why from that, there is no reason to make it stupid stuff. When we are in a fair, in equal condition, there is no order and we can do whatever we want.
And when you're in the car fighting another Frenchman, Kevin Estre, even if you didn't have the same tire wear, what does it feel like to be fighting him? You know each other really well, so it may be different than another opponent.
Yeah, I mean, with Kevin, we know since a long time already when we were not factory driver. It's always cool, because I like his spirit. It's a proper race driver. Always a lot of push with him, and as a driver, it's one of the best to fight with him.
Thanks a lot, Fred. Have a nice end of the race.
Just how tough is the Le Mans 24 Hours? Well, Gamer Guy has been doing some calculations. Gamer Guy 813. It's crazy to think about, but at this pace, they will exceed 3,000 miles distance covered. Now that is from the east coast of the United States to the west coast.
In a day.
In a day.
In cars. That really does make you think, doesn't it?
It really does, yeah, absolutely. That is absolutely phenomenal, and just shows you just how much incredible engineering, the technical difficulties, the speed that these drivers have to keep up, looking after tyres, looking after brakes, looking after engine temperatures, looking after the fuel levels, everything.
Making pit stops, changing tyres, refueling. There's a real there are 2 real hairpins on the circuit, and they're averaging 140 miles an hour.
Dodging carnage, yes. They've done that a few times. Dodging traffic, they've done that quite a lot. And still, 3,000 miles is the distance they're likely to cover, roughly. It's phenomenal.
That is London to Rome, back and back to Rome.
That's Absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah.
Well, it's not done yet, folks. We are counting down the hours. It's now 3 hours 45 roughly, but the battles are still raging. The best could still be yet to come.
This program is brought to you by Goodyear, racing-inspired tires.
Some seconds are worth more than others. For instance, take this seat. Take this wheel. Take this start. Don't take your eye off the curve. Who knows what lies?
Our world is changing. New